everybody, it's Usernamekate and welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to be throwing my leg over these two bikes, Triumph's 2025 Tiger Sport 660 and 2025 Tiger Sport 800, and we're going to do a little bit of a compare and contrast. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on these two bikes, keep watching. Right everybody, so I start my day today on the Tiger Sport 660. You know the aim of the game, you know the game plan. We're gonna hop between the 660 and the 800 and gonna see kind of who the bikes are suited to, the main differences, the main similarities, all that jazz. So yeah, what a better one to start on than the 660, the baby brother, the baby bro. So I guess one of the main points to tackle is the price. So the price of this bike, it starts at £8,995. That's for the black one that we're all riding today. If you compare that with the Tiger Sport 800, that is £2,000 cheaper because the Tiger Sport 800 starts from £10,995. So what are some of the key similarities between the Tiger Sport 660 and the Tiger Sport 800? Well, if you'd have asked me that question based on last year's Tiger Sport 660, it would be quite apparent that the 800 comes with quite a lot of features over the 2024 Tiger Sport 660. However, not for this year. So there's quite a few changes to the 2025 Tiger Sport against the 2024. So we now have the 6-axis IMU for lean sensitive ABS and traction control. So corner and ABS and traction control, which is pretty good. You know, it's just extra safety features, which can never be a bad thing. You have the quick shifter and auto blipper, you have the sport mode, you have the cruise control now on the 2025 Tiger Sport 660, which is massively important for a bike that's operating within the sports tourer segment. And then of course you've got the connectivity for 2025. So like I said, if they'd have brought out the 800 and not made any updates on this new 660, then there would have been some quite strong positives and justifications as to why you'd go 800 over 660. But they have kind of, you know, made that decision a little bit harder for the consumer by giving the 2025 Tiger Sport 660 all these cool features that the 800 has. So I guess another similarity that the two bikes have is the looks. They are strikingly similar. So with the Tiger Sport 660, who are Triumph trying to appeal to? In my opinion, Triumph with the Tiger Sport 660, they're trying to appeal to maybe somebody that's looking for a step up in capacity, a step up in power, maybe somebody that's, you know, just kind of passed the test and looking for an A2 restrictable bike that they can unleash once they've passed their full test. Somebody that might be on an A2 license, you know, but they want to, you know, feel like they're rolling around with the big boys and not restricted to 35 kilowatt, because I guess on first appearance you just think that you've got full 80 ponies, like there's no visual telltale signs that a bike would be A2 restricted. So you could get one of these bikes, restrict it and then de-restrict it. It's just done with something on the throttle and a tune. Triumph can do that. Or maybe even for somebody who has a few bikes in the garage already but just wants something fun, light, nimble, something that can, you know, weasel through the towns, you know, maybe put some panniers on, go top box, go and pick up some milk from your local shop. if you can't be bothered driving and it's a nice day and you want to get the bike out, you know, you don't have to lug out a massive bike with the 660, you know. Or maybe for somebody that has like one bike in the garage, but it's not a very practical run around bike, or, you know, I don't know, I suppose you can still have an absolute blast of a Sunday on this thing. It is a bit of a back lane scratcher, of course, but where I think this, you know, client base or target audience falls is that of somebody who, you know, has just passed the test, or is stepping up from a smaller bike, or somebody that wants, like, you know, a second bike in the garage. The bikes both have the same seat height, so there's no kind of benefit to one over the other. The seat height is 835mm on both. So with the Tiger Sport 660 versus the 800, you could say, they both have that adjustable screen, which is nice. The switchgear is identical. Great thing about this engine, 26 miles an hour, 6th gear, through the towns, no stressing, no stropping, very smooth roll on of the throttle. It's just really, really pleasant. I wonder if we can... So we've even set the cruise control at 25 miles an hour in 6th gear. Then obviously I just wanted to accelerate a little bit, but yeah, it did that fine. Another similarity, we do have cruise control, but it is a very basic cruise control on both of them. Like, super basic. You just push the button and it sets the speed, but like then I set it at 26 in the 30 because that's just what I was doing when I hit the button, but then everybody accelerated in front of me and I couldn't, like, just notch up the button to jump up a few miles an hour so that I could still stay at 30, but I could catch them up. So yeah, that's a bit annoying, I guess, when you're used to like super high-tech cruise control options that are on the market. So we're in 3rd gear, but we could actually put it up into 4th because it's happy enough. It's happy as Larry. It's chugging away. It's not even chugging, it's just gliding away. Okay, we're in a Nationale, baby. Hopefully we can pick up the pace a little bit. A lot of traffic today though. We've got quite a big route because I'm just trying to make it sing because I want to hear that induction roar. Ergonomically, it pretty much feels exactly the same. We've got a slightly smaller tank on this, and I mean slightly smaller. So we've got a 17, I think 0.2 litre tank, and then on the Big Brother, the 800, it's an 18.6 litre tank. However, with this engine on the 660 being a little smaller, it might be a little more frugal perhaps. So it's quite cold on the old hands today, and all the press Tiger Sport 660s are quite new on the fleet, so they haven't had the heated grips fitted to them yet. So on the 800, that's got the heated grips because it's been fitted for the press bike. But I will say, I don't think Triumph's heated grips are the strongest on the earth. I mean, no disrespect, but I've known warmer fridges. Like, they're just not impactful in my opinion. I just don't find them that warm, and it's a shame, but maybe that's because I prefer my heated grips to be molten. Oh, look at the cows! Look how cute they are! Why are they so sweet? So it's a little bit lighter than the 800, which is 214 kilograms. So with suspension on this, we do have the Showa separate function forks, a big piston. They don't have any adjustability on the 660. We do have adjustability on the 800. The 660 is a super unintimidating bike, but it is a bike that you can have good fun on. So with this engine, of course, we have 81 brake horsepower, and the peak of that is at 10,250 RPM. And then we've got 64 newton meters of torque, and the peak torque comes in at 6,250 RPM. So we've just had a little rip around on the Triumph Tiger Sport 660. Now let's get on the 800. Woo! Oh yes! Okay, so I'm going to preface this by saying that the 800 engine is more up my street personally. You know, I've been riding since 16, I'm 33 now, you do the maths, I'm not that smart. Oh, look at this road, oh yes. Yes, I've got to say personally, straight away, the 800 is more my vibe. It's just, for a start, it's the audible delight of this bike. It's so nice sounding. The induction roar is crazy. So I was speaking to James Wood from Triumph, and I said to him, how did you manage to get the 800 to sound like this? And he said, well, the difference between the Tiger Sport 660 and the Tiger Sport 800 is the Tiger Sport 660 has one throttle body and the 800 has 3 throttle bodies, and also the airbox is in a completely different place on the 800, and with the 660 the airbox is behind the engine. With this, I believe it's in front, so it does just help create that sound that's more akin to being on a street triple, I would say. And it's got the power. Oh Lord, it's got the power. So I've covered the similarities, you know, between the two. With this one, it's £2,000 more than the Tiger Sport 660, so it is more of an investment. And also, I guess, there is the element of the fact that this bike, you'll be able to get Tiger Sport 660s with a few miles on for a lot less than the retail price. There'll be some big savings on the used bike market. But a negative of that is you're not going to get all the new features for 2025 on the older Tiger Sport 660. You're not including that 6-axis IMU, including the cruise control, the quick shifter as standard, the tech features, the sport mode. And I do think for a bike in this category, the cruise control button is a big thing of importance. Again, this engine, deliciously smooth, but it is definitely for a sporty rider. So I guess that leads me on to, who is this bike designed for? So this bike, it is more of like that kind of all-rounder, in the sense that because you've got a bit more power with this, you've got the 113 brake horsepower, which for me on the road is very much a beautiful sweet spot of power. Like, lots of power is great, but I feel like 113 brake horsepower, 125, that is all like gorgeously manageable. Like, it's just so gorgeous. Like, it's a nice amount of power. And don't get me wrong, 80 brake horsepower might be absolutely fine for lots of different riders. You know, there are people that are happy to get to the speed limit and they're not bothered about that massive blast of acceleration that you can get with bigger powered bikes. And in that case, you know, the 660 engine in the Tiger Sport is lovely, it's pleasant, does make overtaking quite fun because, you know, you don't have to plan them to the degree of like a 125 or a 400. You've definitely got plenty overtaking power, but you've got to be like really winding it on, whereas you can be a bit lazier with the throttle even when making them maneuvers when you've got a bit more power. But no, it just definitely feels more of a sporty bike. Like, just obviously the power, then you've got the sound. And I suppose another way in which this bike excels is if you want to do, you know, a lot of 2-up touring, you want to do a lot of travelling around. If you're carrying more weight with your panniers and your top box and a pillion, sometimes it is nice to have a bit more power, so you've got a bit more poke and a bit more pull when you've got somebody on the back. But honestly, yeah, that sound is a little bit addictive. It's a little bit addictive. Yeah, so going back to who I think this bike is for, you know, somebody who's used to riding bikes with a fair bit of power, you know, around that range, because then they won't feel like they're missing out on anything or having to sacrifice, you know, the power by getting a 660, maybe a more experienced rider. You know, this isn't something that can be restricted to A2. So, yeah. Another thing as well, with this we have Showa adjustable suspension, as you can see with the little twiddly knobs, hopefully. And with adjustable suspension, it just becomes a more flexible, adaptable bike, in the sense that if you want to ride with a pillion, you want to go touring, you can really soften it up for some nice long distance comfort, just, you know, gliding over potholes and stuff like that. Or if you think, actually, you know what, I've left my partner at home, I took the panniers off, top box is not attached, I really fancy like a bit of scratching, well, you can stiffen it all up a little bit and have a very stable, very confidence inspiring bike for when you're pushing on. Also, if you're somebody that kind of falls outside of average rider weight, you know, boundaries, if you will, like, I'm sure this bike's probably set up for not myself from the box, or not somebody like Chopsy from the box, but the fact that you have that adjustability means that you can just tailor it a little bit more to like your weight and your riding desires and what you want out of a bike. Whereas on the 660, you know, if you just hop on it, you've kind of got to be happy with how that front feels, because you don't have that adjustability. So I've just shifted it into 6th gear. Again, even though it's a bigger engine, it does have that easygoing nature where it can just chug along at 25 mile an hour up a hill and not grumbling. So that is a feature that is, you know, across those two engines. It's very good at being in the high gears when going very slow. But yeah, I think this one is a bit of me. Right everybody, I am in from riding these two bikes, the Tiger Sport 660 and its bigger brother, the 800. The handling, both bikes, box fresh, handle brilliantly. You know, they're not scared of being chucked around into bends. They handle with stability and poise, and you never feel like the bike's getting bent out of shape. Of course, with the 800, you know, as part of that £2,000 premium on top of the 660, you do get that adjustable suspension with the way of the forks. So if you are a little bit on the heavier side and you want to firm it up a little bit, then maybe the 800 is the route to go down, because you can't do that with the 660. But with the rear shock, again, you've got preload adjustability with this. You have a little bit more adjustability with the shock on the 800 as well. So to conclude, for me, how I ride, the 800 is the one, because I'm one of these people that, you know, it's not just a workhorse for me. I like the fun feeling and the sound of that engine. It kind of like makes me giddy and puts a real big smile on my face when I wind it on, and to me that's what I need out of a bike. But that's not to say that this bike doesn't have its place. Of course it does. It's more than powerful enough for our speed limits, for our UK roads, for our potholes and everything like that. So yeah, although the 800 is my choice, that's not to say that the Tiger Sport 660
won't make some of you guys extremely happy, especially with all its new features for 2025. Right guys, I'm going to round it up. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, hit that subscribe button. If you've got any questions that I've missed, because there's so much I could talk about with these bikes, let me know in the comments. I'll try and answer them. And until the next time, take care, ride safe. Bye.